Hey everybody, welcome to The Bottom Line. I'm Michael Noland. It looks like it's right back to court for the rock band Journey. Both Neal Schon and Jonathan Cain, of course, have been at each other's throats for quite some time, and neither one of them seems to have much good to say about the other's wives. You know, Journey's been around for a while now, folks, and you would have thought that they would have learned from the Beatles, and, well, Spinal Tap for that matter. You see, sometimes girlfriends and wives don't mix well in a rock band. All right, so tonight's video, really, folks, if you think about it, is the very first video that I've dedicated regarding Journey. Let me know if you want to see more. But Journey for me has always been a love-hate relationship. I absolutely loved their first albums, but when Steve came along and the band started focusing on a more top 40 approach to their music, I gotta tell you, I lost interest. Even the artwork on their albums looked corporate to me. I liked some of their hits and didn't care for others. I loved Don't Stop Believin', but I was a fan from the very beginning. I loved the fact that Greg Raleigh and Neal Schon came from Santana. I loved their more progressive approach. It seemed like a more serious band to me, but I've always had great things to say regarding Neal Schon as a guitar player, and as I said, the band could put out some material that I liked. My wife absolutely loves this band, and as some of you know, I am just now getting back into collecting vinyl, so as I get a couple of Journey albums for her, I promise I'll be reassessing the Steve Perry era. All right, so for tonight's video, what I wanted to do is to cover an article. Basically, it's the response from Neal Schon regarding Jonathan Cain suing him. What? How, is this the third time around? I forget. Anyway, the article starts off by saying, Journey guitarist Neal Schon has responded to the lawsuit filed by bandmate Jonathan Cain last month. In the suit, filed in the state of Delaware on July 30th, Cain petitioned the court to appoint a third director of the pair's Freedom 2020 company so that the alleged differences between the two musicians could be settled by a casting vote. Cain's lawsuit also detailed alleged instances of financial mismanagement by Schon, that sounds familiar, including the allegation that he'd spent up to $10,000 a night for hotel rooms for him and his wife, and accused him of excessive expenditures relating to private jets. Now, Neal Schon responded saying, "We are traveling no differently than we have for many years, including John Cain. He and his wife deciding to take a bus on the 11th hour was his own decision. The rest of the band, Arnel Pineda, the singer, and his children, my wife, myself, Deen Castronovo, the drummer, Todd Jensen on bass, and Jason, along with the crew and security, travel on one jet that was all approved by our budget." Now he goes on, he says, "What was also approved in our budget, as we have done for years. My wife and I have great relationships with different managers of hotels. They got us great deals if we want to upgrade. All have understood for many years as she travels with me every show. It comes out of my pocket in the end. This was also approved in our private Zoom meetings with John and Paula." Now, Paula is Cain's wife. He continues, "I do pay for it and always have. Now, the reason I said all of this sounds familiar before, well, Neal continues by saying, this is the second time Jonathan Cain has sued me for the same thing. We've already been through this in court. That case was dropped by both of us. We both agreed to drop it and to move forward with prejudice. That means you never open it again. Well, here we are again in the middle of a wonderful tour with our good friends Def Leppard and Steve Miller. Regarding Jonathan Cain's credit card, he says, we do have very good solutions to ease the situation with John Cain's credit card, who set up in his name and instead of the band. Although he receives all of the rewards, the solution is to get rid of the credit card. He continues, I let the promoter take all the responsibilities and pay us all individually or equal money as we travel as we wish. He concludes, sounds like a good solution, right? Let's see how this works out. Then I'll see you at our next gig. I'll be kicking some ass. He did have one final thought here. He says, don't believe all you read in the media. No shit. It's all manipulated and contrived as they wish it to be. I'm taking the higher road. Now, the article goes on and brings up a very important point here that connects to the rest of this video. It continues by saying, earlier this month it was reported that Journey drummer Deen Castronovo had missed the band's August 2nd show in Toronto, and that his place in the show had been taken by drummer tech Steve Toomey. This led to speculation that Castronovo was a casualty of the fallout between Schon and Cain, whose lawsuit alleged that it is common that one director will terminate an employee or crew member, and hours or days later, the other director will rehire that same individual. In a court hearing on August 7th, Delaware Chancery Court Judge Travis Laster said, I'm not qualified to decide who the drummer should be, and appointed an official with Cain's and Schon's legal teams ahead of a full hearing, which is scheduled for the first week of September. Now, it's interesting that they chose to bury that little bit of information at the end of the article. You see, it is actually, to me, a much more important concern than this nonsense between Neal and Jonathan. The article is clearly telling you, me, and every single Journey fan that Journey really is only two individuals and the rest of them are employees. Now, I wouldn't think of Castronovo as exactly an employee. His pedigree is absolutely wonderful. But it seems that Journey is pretty much the same kind of corporate entity that the Eagles, Kiss, and Foreigner are. Those bands are owned by a very small minority, and the brand is bigger than the band. Now, I've never really considered Journey as guilty as some bands, in that say the Eagles are touring with just one Eagle left. Kiss wound up touring the last decade or two with only two members left, all right? And Foreigner is out touring today with 0 members left. And so is the Guess Who. No, I see Journey more as one of those bands that evolved as far as membership. I would have loved them to have stayed the original outfit, the original lineup. But when they brought Steve Perry on, that brought changes. We saw Rowley left, and when so-and-so quit, that person came in. All along, they continued to make new product, new albums, and have done so relatively recently. So I see them as still, I guess, a valid band. But is it really, truly a rock band anymore? And that leads me to my question to the tribe tonight, folks. Since this is my first video on Journey, I want to hear from you folks, all right? How many of you are Journey fans? And how many of you have plans to go see them? And how many of you are just fine with the fact that the band you are going to see is more of a corporation than the band you fell in love with? All right, folks, that's it for the video tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give me a thumbs up. That always helps channel growth and the video gets more views. It's all good news, right? And if you haven't subscribed to this thing we call the tribe, well, that's easy. All you have to do is hit that subscribe to the tribe button, tap that top bell icon, and you gotta do that because if you do so, you'll be notified of all my future videos. All right, I'm Michael Noland. This is the bottom line, as I've given it to you right here on this video, but that's only my opinion, folks. You see, the real bottom line on this channel, as I always say, is in the comments. And it's in the comments where together we show that we are the tribe.